Hey everyone, welcome to the Vienna Whyte Roundtable, Season 1, Episode 14. I'm your host, Millie Rouge from the band Vienna Whyte. This roundtable is a Yeg Music production. Today we have 4 incredible guests on today. I'm very, very excited to have these guys on. So we are going to start off and we're going to get a little introduction from Emily.
Hey y'all, I'm Emily Daniels and I'm a country singer-songwriter from Nashville.
Beautiful. And the Archives.
Hey everyone, we're the Archives. We're from Edmonton and we do kind of, like indie, alternative
kind of music. Yeah.
Beautiful. And Brenden.
Hi, my name is Brenden Macgowan and I am from Ottawa, Ontario, and I'm a pop singer.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well, thank you guys so much for being a part of this show today. We're going to just jump in actually to kind of talking about each of you individually as an artist so that our audience can know a little bit more about you. So Emily, I wanted to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your musical journey and how you got from point A to where you are now, point B?
Yeah. So I'm actually from Nashville originally, a unicorn these days. A lot of people here have kind of moved here over time. But I went to college in LA, so I left for a little bit and then realized that I needed to be back here to do country music. If I were doing pop, I probably could have stayed out there. But I moved back about 2 years ago and just put out my first single 3 weeks ago. So I've always sang, like my mom said, I was singing since I could talk, but I kind of just had to leave for a little bit to come back and appreciate it and know that this is really what I want to be pursuing.
Absolutely. And I think there's no better place to be for country than Nashville. So I think you're in the right place.
I
agree. So you've lived there your whole life. And what has your experience been so far in the Nashville music industry? Can you tell someone, because I myself and the Archives and technically Brenden, we're all from Canada. So can you tell us a little about that Nashville music industry and what it's like?
Yeah. I guess it's hard because it's all I've known. So I don't really know how it's different, but there's a lot of musicians. I'd say it's a big, small town though. I think there's a lot of, everyone knows each other kind of, or if you don't know them personally, you know someone that knows them.
Right.
So it's a smaller town than people realize. And most of my friends are songwriters. I mean, I live with one of my favorite songwriters and she wrote my first single and the third one I'll be putting out too. And so I think it's very easy to get plugged in once you get here. And I don't know, it's very interesting. I forget sometimes that the songwriter world is not normal life. And so I'll just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to a write. And people are like, what is a write? And I forget that that lingo is not universal.
Right.
But I'm really glad. I think it's cool because people are very collaborative. And I think it's at least I found a group of a community and a group of people that we're all doing our own artist thing or songwriter thing, but we're able to support each other on that journey and it's not this competitive cattiness. It's not oh, well, if you did well, then I can't do well. It's very much hey, that's so awesome. You're doing that. And then we just support each other. And I think that's really important to find those people that you can, that celebrate your successes with you and you genuinely feel like they're in it with you and it's not, I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you because here in Edmonton, the scene is kind of like that too. It's not too big. Edmonton, I think its population is around 1 million. So it's still fairly large, but it feels very small town, even though it's not small town music scene, but it's really nice to have, like you said, that really nice supportive kind of group that's not competing. I know a lot of in the pop world in Edmonton, especially, I find people are very supportive of each other and we all have similar careers, but we're all supporting each other rather than competing. Right. So my next question for you, with Nashville being a pretty big music scene, especially a huge country music scene, how do you feel that you find authentic connections within people? Do you find people are just more friendly in Nashville compared to, let's say, LA, for example? How do you find relationships work? How do you find people that are authentic and true to what you actually do in your music career?
Yeah, I definitely can juxtapose LA and Nashville. I love both cities for totally different reasons. I think Nashville and the South in general, I grew up here, I'm very familiar with like the Southern charm and everyone's just so sweet. But I think sometimes it's hard because I think it's a genuine sweetness, but I think, I don't know, there's not always follow through. So like someone could be like, oh, there's like a catchphrase of like, we should grab coffee sometime. But sometimes like you're never going to grab coffee with them. And I don't think it's like a lie. I don't think they're trying to like, I don't know, pull one over you. But I think sometimes the intentionality isn't always like followed through, as opposed to like LA, where they might not ever say we're going to get coffee, but if they say it, they probably mean it.
Right.
Or at least that's what I found. And so moving back was kind of a culture shock. And it took me, I mean, I have like this solid group of friends and community now, but I think it took me probably a year or so after moving back. And that was kind of discouraging because I had such a solid community out in LA. And so moving back was like, this is my home, but like no one here is from here anymore. So I don't have a lot of friends from like high school and stuff here, but the ones I do, like, we're really tight. So I think it's just finding like over time, like those people that stick by you and that aren't, I don't know, that I think I tried for a while to kind of fit in groups of friends that are nice people, but like I was having to try. And I think like when you find that community, you don't have to like try to be someone you're not, or try to like make them like you. They just will. And I mean, those people are not bad people. It's just like, if that's not your people, then you shouldn't have to force it. So I think just finding those people that you naturally connect with and like leaning into that. And my group of friends now, we are all like, just have the same values and same, a lot of similarities in that way. And like, we have like a Bible study with girls that are like all in the industry. And that's like really cool for me because we all like live our life this like in similar ways and can encourage each other through like an industry that's not always that way. So
that's really awesome. Now I have a question. Have you seen the show Nashville before?
Yes.
Okay. Now my question is, and don't worry, Brenden, I have some questions coming for you about Nashville too. With Nashville being like the way it is, and looking at the TV show Nashville, because I've watched all the episodes.
Same.
Do you find that do you find it's an accurate description of what Nashville is like, or do you think it's a little bit too much Hollywood? What do you think? I'm curious to know.
I think any show is going to be a little dramatic, but I think there are some similarities, but it's definitely played up.
Okay.
I guess recently I've been watching The Hills, and we've been debating, like, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a reality show. And then we're debating though, is it really reality or is it not? And I think probably similar, even though Nashville's not a reality show, I think it's still kind of like playing off of what could happen. But I mean, it's definitely more dramatic. Like the show is more dramatic than real life. I found, but some of those people I have seen around town, which is kind of cool because I like a girl from the show because I love the show. Like the mayor of the show was once like I was coming home from Thanksgiving and his wife and daughters were on my flight from LA to Nashville. And I didn't know that. And I like get off the plane and he's like in the luggage area. And I like have a moment where I'm like, this happens a lot, but I like don't remember if it's someone I like actually know or if it's someone from a show that I like think I know. And so I was like, hey, and then I was like, oh my God, he doesn't know me.
That's amazing.
It was so nice though. Like, and they were on my same flight back. So he like actually helped me with my bags that time. Nice. I was like, wow.
That's really amazing. I love that. Sorry, I just had to ask that question because I'm a huge fan of Nashville. So I had to know all about it. All right. Thank you so much, Emily, for sharing.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to dive into Brenden and then we'll find our way back to the archives. So Brenden, can you tell us a little bit about your musical journey, how you've had it so far, being from point A to where you are now?
So I started off for me, I started just singing for fun. Because I was like, oh, no one in my family's musical at all. Like, no one sings, no one plays any instruments, nothing. It's all sports, blah, 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 blah. So I kind of just started singing in talent shows at school and just for fun. And then I met my current vocal coach, I think back in grade 7 or 8. So a few years ago. And ever since then, I started singing with her, and then I auditioned for La Voix Junior, which is The Voice Junior in Quebec. And then as soon as I went into that, I made it to the finals, and it was such an incredible experience. And like I learned from that how much like music is so important to me and like how much I love it, and just like it was just such a great experience for me. And then from there, I started doing the anthems for the Ottawa Senators too,
Nice.
which was also incredible. It's so like such a great experience for me to have as well. But at that point, I haven't really ever like started writing at all, like doing any original music or anything. So it
Mhm.
wasn't until like 2 years ago where I really started like writing. And then I went to Nashville actually. I recorded my first three singles in Nashville, and it was just such a great experience as well. And ever since then I've been doing and keep like stuff now. So it's just like it kind of switched from doing covers and singing on that sense to more like I'm doing original stuff now.
That's
So yeah.
awesome. That's fantastic. I was actually going to ask you about Nashville, so I'm so glad you tapped into it already. That's amazing. Now I want to talk about, you were nominated for Single of the Year at the Ottawa Awards. Can you tell us more about that experience and what it was like for you?
It was actually kind of a funny story. Me and my family went to New York for Christmas break, and I was just like, I don't even know where I was, but I got like a text from my vocal coach, and she was like, "Your song's nominated for like Song of the Year," and I was like, "What?" Like I didn't know that was a thing. Like in Ottawa, I didn't even know like we
Yeah.
had Song of the Year, like any like of these categories at all. So I like checked my phone, I checked the link, and I see that it's there. And I was kind of just like in shock because I didn't think anything of it. I was just like thinking like, oh, I'm gonna release these songs, like a kind of like a learning curve and a learning process to
Right.
see how to release music and how like the whole thing goes. So yeah, I saw, and I like my friends were texting me, they're like, yeah, your song's nominated, and I kind of just shared it, and I was like, oh, this day, like if you could vote, like that'd mean the world. And the award show was Jan- I think it was sometime in January or February, but I had
Mhm.
exams the weekend like of, and like I had to like I was studying, so I didn't go to the actual like award ceremony. And I get a text from my vocal coach. He's like, "Yeah, you won," and I was like, "Oh my god, that's
No
insane!" So yeah,
way.
yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
insane. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's too bad that you couldn't go, but I mean, at least you
I
can
know. Yeah,
still have that satisfaction of saying, yes, I won the award. That's really
yeah.
awesome. That is so cool. Now, when I was scrolling through your Instagram, I noticed that you have met Charles Esten. So can
Yes.
you tell me a little bit about more of that experience and kind of how you got to meet him? And for those at home who don't know, he is one of like the main characters on the show Nashville. So again,
Mhm.
we're talking back about Nashville again. So can you tell us a little
um,
bit more about that?
yeah, for sure. So when I was back in Nashville and we were recording my songs, I was there with my mom and my grandma, and we were gonna go to the Grand Ole Opry, and Charles Esten was performing that night. And the producer I was working with, she was like she was good friends. She's either good friends with him or someone who like knows him well. And she said, "Oh yeah, like, would you want to like go meet him?" And I was like, "What?" Like joking, like what? Like kind of like in shock because I just was gonna go and watch, and I was like so thrilled to even just like go to the Opry and like watch. And we went backstage, and then he was like just practicing with his band, and I like walked up and introduced myself, and it was so nice. He's
Yeah.
one of the nicest people I've ever met. He's so down to earth and so real, and it was just I was kind of in shock because, and I told him I was like I've watched the show like many times, kind of just having a huge fan. It was really,
Yeah, no, that's awesome. He seems like he would be the most genuine and super nice human being. So that honestly doesn't surprise me at all that he's like that in real life too. That's really
yeah,
cool. All
yeah.
right. So I think that was everything I had to ask for you, Brenden. We're going to move on to the archives, and then we're going to move into our topic question of the day. So the archives. Hello, guys. Can you tell us a little bit more about your musical journey that you've had so far?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay.
Start.
So we met in high school actually. We met in band. we were at different schools in band, and then we ended up switching schools together in grade 12. And yeah, we started dating back in grade 11, and then he was more or less nagging me to start singing with him and stuff, and I had such bad stage fright that I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And yeah, so in, was it first year university or close to second, I finally gave in, and I was like, okay, maybe we can try stuff, because he had been writing a bunch of music. And we started posting stuff on Instagram, and then you reached out to us actually.
That was actually our first show, I think, was with you guys at the tabletop.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and then so
cool.
that kind of helped us get our foot in the door, and yeah, we just started doing lots of open mics and little performances and stuff around Edmonton.
Absolutely. So this kind of actually ties in perfectly to my next question. What would you guys say is the hardest part when you first start out in music? What's kind of the hardest step to kind of get through when you're just brand new, just straight new to music? What would you say is the hardest part?
I think it's probably trying to get people to show up to shows.
For me, it's networking. I think everyone has a
Yeah.
different though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't find writing bad. I don't find we're working on an EP right now. Like, I don't find trying to get into the recording and stuff is very hard, especially if you're like, we're on a budgeted thing for sure. This EP is not going to be like very professional. But yeah, I definitely would say the networking and trying to like get people to shows, trying to get the gigs. We actually had some shows that we were really excited. We had at least like 2 or 3 things coming up before the virus and everything.
Yes, yeah, which is too bad, but I mean, it is what it is. But now you can take more time to create, so
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm curious to know kind of what musical genres have a huge influence on the both of you, because as you guys are a duo, what's kind of your top major influences in music that you guys have found?
I don't know, because I do all the writing, so Hillary doesn't really get a lot of influence in the songs.
That's fair.
To be honest, just other than her vocals.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm, like, do you mean like what artists I'm influenced by?
Exactly, yeah. Which artists?
Oh, honestly, who am I ripping off all the time? Probably like the Strokes. If you're familiar with like the Strokes, Mac DeMarco, Tame Impala, those are like some of the artists I've been listening to a lot lately.
But then, we throw it more into our genre. So we take little songwriting ideas from them and then throw it into us.
Yeah,
which is beautiful. Yeah, I think that's what honestly a lot of artists do, because we do a lot of imitation as much as we try to be like, this is my own unique sound. A lot of it is copied or what you hear.
I don't even act like no. It's like I'm not the first person to use this guitar effect or say this lyric. It's like,
yeah. At least you're honest. That's beautiful. All right. I think that, my last question for you guys. Do you find it easier to play as a solo act compared to a duo act? Which do you find easier? And if so, why or why not?
Well, I wouldn't perform if Mike wasn't up with me.
Yeah.
The only instrument I can play is the saxophone, so that's not really going to help me up there when I'm singing.
Yeah.
So, I much prefer it when it's the two of us.
Yeah, I think I would definitely rather perform in like a group.
Yeah.
Compared to a solo setting, yeah. It's definitely a lot more open and raw. So I think for a lot of people, if they had the opportunity to work in a band or a duo, I think they definitely choose that over being solo.
Even in the duo, I think I still feel a bit more pressure because it's like all eyes are on just the two. Whereas like I've played in bands before, and when I'm playing in a band, like I don't feel anything. So it's like 4 or 5 people up there, like I don't feel any different.
No pressure. No.
Yeah. You do get to equally kind of share like the responsibilities and the tasks and the stress and the workload when you're in a band, right? Or even like a duo or a trio. So that totally makes sense. All right. Thank you guys for sharing about that. I kind of wanted to dive into our topic of the day now. We have a couple minutes left. So again, this is open for anyone to answer. So please feel free. And whoever wants to, I'll just ask you guys and kind of we'll go from there. So our topic for today is concert experiences. So I really want to talk about a concert experience as a musician, because I know a concert experience to someone who just likes music or is just like, yeah, I love Beyonce, but doesn't really listen to that much Beyonce is completely different when you're a musician, because I think there's a lot more things we take into consideration. So I'm curious first to know, what's your favorite part about attending concerts? So Emily, do you want to start it off?
Sure. I think my favorite part about attending concerts is seeing the rawness of it compared to an album where you have the chance to produce it, overproduce it, whatever they're going to do to it. But just kind of to see that stripped back in whatever capacity performance. I especially love when I hear a song that's done acoustically versus the normal way on the album. And just to see I think on an album, anyone can, with all the tools nowadays, anyone can sound good, but to see someone live, it kind of really puts them on display and shows you what they have. And I don't know, it's just you feel you're kind of in their world for a minute. So I think it's really cool to see them just come alive. Because I know for me, like, that's really exciting to see people like are actually here to listen to my music. Like, so I think no matter how big they get, most people I feel like still like have that moment where they're like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. Especially if it's like someone big where people are all singing along. It's like just a different moment than all of the hours that you spent like putting towards this, like feels like it kind of pays off. So
totally. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a huge sucker for acoustic performances. So I totally get what you mean by that. Cause if I hear like any cover that's done well as acoustic, I'm just like, yes, that's beautiful. Now, the archives, I kind of want to hear about your guys' concert experiences and what your favorite part is of attending concerts.
Well, probably one of my favorite things would be like the actual energy of the people on stage and the crowd reacting and stuff.
Like the atmosphere.
Yeah, like we go to a lot of kind of smaller local shows and stuff quite often, and being able to see all the support that happens from the actual crowd, and they treat them like they're big artists and stuff, and they know their music, and like I love
like
seeing
some of my favorite shows in Edmonton so far like have like literally been like for me, like I had a better time at the Travis Mathew concert, which is like just a local artist here in Edmonton, than like City in Color, like just personally.
Yeah, because he put
like
on
some
such
of the
an
local
amazing
shows
show.
can be that much better because like everyone, it's just so much more like well knit and just like smaller, it's like more personal, I guess almost.
There was a whole conga line and everything, and everyone was dancing in the
he's
crowd.
Like, he's a crazy performer, but
Oh my gosh, he's crazy. He has so much energy, and I think that's kind of the beauty of local artists compared to sometimes when they're these bigger artists. Is sometimes it feels like they almost forget how to be just a human being and to just be natural, right? Like I think they're kind of worked up to be so professional and so they have to have this exact staging, this exact way they act on stage. So I think that's really cool, like you said, to watch someone local and to be like, oh yeah, like this is what's really cool about live performances is like the energy and the atmosphere for sure. Now, Brenden, I'm curious to know what your kind of experiences with attending concerts, maybe in the Ottawa/Toronto area.
Well, for me, just something like kind of like a little bit off topic is a new album that comes out. I'm someone who just like loves like knowing every word to like every song. So like when I do like go see them live or something, I know every word and I can be like, I know every word on every song on the whole album and stuff, and just like singing it and just seeing it live just kind of feels different, and it just like hits different kind of. But for local stuff, it's just I think it allows like even with like smaller venues, just like allows you to I feel like there's like less pressure than like big audiences because you want to act like a certain way. Like it's kind of more like staged in a way, but like when you see like people who are like smaller venues, it's kind of more the authenticity like than the person like see like them. I feel like when it like being like real and how they just like tell the stories about the song. That's what I love. Like when like artists tell like what the song's about or how this song came to be. It's just like it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really cool to talk about actually because when you go to a huge live concert, like if you're going to Justin Bieber compared to like Travis Matthews, a super local guy, there is an experience I find people change. Like if an audience member is sitting at a local show, they're more calm and reserved and they're just like really taking the atmosphere. But if you're at a Justin Bieber concert, like some people are just going ham. Like it's a release of like a lot of emotions I find at these concerts, and people are so excited, like they're screaming. Like I'm also that person at concerts too, but it's nice to kind of go between both of them, I find for sure. So my next questions for you guys is, as a musician, when you attend a concert, what musical things, not just concert wise, but musical things do you guys notice that maybe someone that's not into music wouldn't notice? I don't know if you want to start this off, Brenden. We can work our way backwards.
Sure. I feel like for me, I pay attention to like extra ad libs if they do that, or like extra like harmonies that like aren't on like the track. Like I know this isn't in person, but the Grammy performance, Ariana Grande performed at the Grammys. She did like this really cool riff for Imagine. Like she did this extra like riff, like this harmony down, and I was really like impressed by that, and just like kind of things like that vocally. I really look at and listen to, if they like if there's like a key change, or like if they like add like this really cool run where there isn't it in the actual song. I personally just look for like the vocal stuff. I'm like really like paying attention to that.
Yeah, you're really audio based. That's really sweet. What about you guys, the archives? What things do you notice when you're at a concert that you maybe someone else wouldn't notice?
Um, I don't know. I think I try to pick up more on like the personality of it. Like I almost think that like outside of music is like almost the more fun part for me live, like the actual performance side of it, and like the talking in the microphone, the engaging the crowd.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of what makes and breaks like a good live performance for me personally.
Yeah.
Because you kind of get like all the audio stuff when you like listen to the professional like recorded
Right.
version of the song. So when they play it live, I like to look for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also really like when, you know, someone really does the song justice live, because like we said before, like, you know, anyone can sound good when they record their music, right? So when they
Yeah.
actually sing live and it sounds good, like that just,
Or
I
like
really
when
appreciate
it
that.
almost sounds like a little bit better too. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
like,
Yeah. I think that's really, really cool because I've been to concerts, like I think One Republic, and I heard him live and I was just like, holy crap, like you can sing, but live you can sing even better. And like his riffs were like amazing. And then I went to concerts like Rihanna, for example, where I was surprised because she was singing to some extent, but a lot of it was tracks playing. So she would have tracks playing for most of it, and then she'd cut out and cut in, and she would start singing a little riff, and then she'd cut back out, and then it would be back to those tracks. So for me, it was really interesting because I was like, that's not what I would expect from Rihanna of all people. But I mean, once you've been touring for that long and you've been an artist for a long time, there are differences that you start to have, of course. But I think it's, yeah, like you said, like when someone's singing live and they blow you away, you're just like, wow, like they are obviously talented, quite frankly. But, and what do you think, Emily, about concerts? With what kind of things do you notice?
I think I'm like Brenden. I listen to for like if an artist is gonna like reimagine their own song even.
Mhm.
So like one of my favorite artists, she's not country at all, but I love Tori Kelly.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
she has like the most amazing voice, I think, of all time.
Mhm.
And it's cool. I got to see her live last year, and she's like known too. I like love like actually she's an artist that I love like YouTubing her live performances because she always does different runs and they're always like just butter. They're just so good and just so natural, and you don't even I don't know. I do some runs, but not, I mean, she's just another level. And so I think listening for that and how they will like just reinterpret their song, because honestly, someone like that who's like performing all the time, they could kind of get bored of their own, like what they've done, what they did on the album could have just been like what they were feeling that day. And what they just thought came out best in the studio. But then when you play it out over and over and over, like you're like, okay, well, what else can we do to this? How can it kind of can feel stale to them? And so I think it's cool, like hearing how they're like, oh, if I were to do it today, this is how I'm going to do it. Or if they like do, like you said, like if they do a key change or I have a weird thing. I don't have perfect pitch where I can like, oh, I'll sing a C right now.
Yeah.
But I do have like near perfect, I guess, where like I can tell if they're playing it live if they've changed the key than what the original is in. And sometimes sometimes it bothers me because I'm like expecting it to be in the original key, but sometimes I'm like, oh, well, the original key is insane. So like no wonder they don't want to play that live. But
The same way.
yeah.
That's really cool. I have one more question here before we wrap up, guys. What has been your favorite concert you've attended, and can you tell us maybe why? So let's start with the archives. What's been your favorite concert you guys have attended?
That's rough. Together? We gotta put them together, right?
Well,
Doesn't matter, separately, together.
one of my favorite
Okay, you just tell me your
music
favorite ones then.
experiences was definitely, we went to go see Sonic Boom back in grade 12.
Oh yeah.
And that one, it was so much fun. It was raining, and you know, we saw like Halsey and 21 Pilots and July Talk, and July Talk was killer.
July Talk was really good.
Yeah. And you know, we were with a bunch of our friends, and just the atmosphere was so good. And you know, music festivals in general are so much fun.
So much
and
fun.
that was definitely probably one of the top ones for me.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. I can't even think of whoever else we've seen. I really like the Glorious Sons too. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they've come here a couple times.
Yeah,
they're Canadian, I believe, too.
Yeah, they are. We were meant to go see them.
Amazing.
Like really not that long. Like I think it was the 19th or something. I was even like the Glorious Sons ambassador, and was setting up a whole fan club thing and everything. And
then awesome virus comes along.
Yeah, of course, right? Brenden, what's been your favorite concert and why?
I'd say I went to Blues Fest this last summer. So just seeing like I saw London Stella, she's like one of my favorites. But
Oh,
that
that's
just like I
great.
know all the songs, like just singing them, that was really fun. But I think my favorite concert was Fleetwood Mac. Saw them last year.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just seeing everyone like there, because they're all so talented. Like everyone's singing, everyone's doing something all the time. And just seeing them and how it sounds like just like listen to this at home and then you see them live. It's just he did this because everyone else went off to take a break and he stayed into this solo. Honestly, I think it was like 10 minutes. Around 10 minutes, he was just thing and like kept going and kept going. It was
Shredding it.
just because like didn't take any breaks and it got like harder and harder and then everyone came back on and they like continued on. It was nonstop. It was just really good. It was really good.
Yeah, I love when that happens when artists do an outfit change and it's clearly very obvious what they're doing, and then they just and then the drummer's just going off, or like the saxophone player's just going off, just waiting for everyone. They're like, hurry up.
Yeah.
And Emily, what was been your
Exactly.
favorite concert, and why is it still your favorite concert?
Okay, that's so hard because honestly, I realized like as y'all were talking about other concert stuff, like Nashville's weird in a way that like I don't remember the last concert I paid to go to, because most big artists will play like small local shows just for free, like kind of whenever. And so, and I much prefer like those smaller, more intimate shows.
Yeah.
So I think most recently, the one that is one of my favorites is Blake Shelton played at an Old Red opening. He has like this country bar called Old Red. Now I think they have 4 locations, but I got to like, I've been modeling for the Opry family. So like Opry, Ryman, Old Red, like a couple others. And so I had been like modeling their t-shirts, but then I was like, I hadn't like met him or like gotten to do anything through that, but they had their brand new bar opening in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And I got to go for the grand opening, and it was so cool because I knew obviously Blake Shelton songs, like being a big country fan growing up and stuff, but I didn't realize how many like hits he had. And so, it was just like a really cool show because it was at his bar. So he had no like cutoff time or like anything. Like he ran the whole thing. And so it was like 2.5 hours of him. The whole time he would just see someone in the crowd and he's like, oh, come on up. Like I went like that he knew, and they would like play a song like right there on the spot. And like,
that's amazing.
It was just the most like casual thing for a huge performer to be doing. And you just felt like you were like in his living room and you're just having a party. And like, it was, I don't know, I think those are like my favorites because he was flawless, but it was just so casual, and I don't know, it just felt so homey. And like, that's the kind of feel I think I love most about like Nashville or like Tennessee shows in general.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, that is actually all the time we have for today. I'm going to go around really quick, and if you guys can tell us where the audience can find you, and then we're going to sign off for the day. So let's start with Emily.
Hey, you can find me on Instagram at Emily Daniels Official, like Jack Daniels.
Beautiful.
No relation, I wish. And I have a new single on Spotify, so it's called Breaking Up Is Hard to Do.
Awesome. And the archives?
The Archive Music on Instagram. And I mean, we have a couple of songs out, but we're definitely working on an EP that we're really excited to release like ASAP. So
stay tuned.
That should be coming out soon enough.
Awesome. And Brenden?
Macgowan, and I have all 3 singles out, all streaming platforms. Just right now I'm just working on some stuff. This quarantine's giving me a lot of free time to just write, so I've been writing nonstop. But
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day, and we will see you soon.